Best motherboards for FX8350. The AMD FX8350 is a 7-year-old processor, but it can be compared with Ryzen 3 CPUs, and there is not much difference. These FX series processors are considered high-end AMD CPUs back in 2011 and are the first native 8 cores and 8 threads CPUs released by AMD. So, we have to select the best motherboard for FX8350 which performs, has high-power phase VRM, the latest interface, and much more. Every motherboard came with a specific socket and chipset and was meant to work with some specified processors. So, there is a question: how can I know which motherboard fits best with my processors, and how can I know about them? We have compiled a list of some of the best motherboards you can get for your AMD FX8350. As it is a 7-year-old CPU, it's not an excellent choice to go with $300 to $400 motherboards, which are 4 times more expensive than the price of a CPU. All of these motherboards listed below come with premium features and don't break your bank. Top 3 products. 1. Gigabyte GA-990FXA-UD3. 2. MSI 970 Gaming. 3. MSI 760 GMAP34. Gigabyte GA-990FXA-UD3. Specifications. Brand: Gigabyte. Chipset: AMD 990FX/SB950. Socket: AM3+. Form factor: ATX. Memory: 32 GB DDR3. Memory speed: 2000 MHz. The Gigabyte GA-990FXA-UD3 from Gigabyte's Ultra Durable 3 series has 2 PCB layers with 2-ounce copper and has a dual BIOS in case of a bad BIOS update or crashed BIOS chip. The GA-990FXA-UD3 is having a fine finish and even colored connectors with a mark for the polarity inside of the front panel connector. This motherboard supports 2-way CrossFire X or NVIDIA SLI and offers 4 PCIe 2.0 video card slots. 1 card can operate with X16 bandwidth, 2 can operate in X16 bandwidth, and 2 can operate with X4 bandwidth. It's unnecessary to get an SLI/Xfire switch card for optimal performance for a single or CF operation. Pros: 4x PCI Express X16 slots, 2x running at X16 plus 2x running at X4. Support for AMD CrossFire and NVIDIA SLI. 2x SATA and FireWire ports. Cheaper. Cons: the software could be better. No RGB illumination. MSI 970 Gaming. Specifications. Brand: Asus. Chipset: AMD 970/SB950. Socket: AM3+. Form factor: ATX. Memory: 32 GB DDR3. Memory speed: 2133 MHz. We're going to have a look at the Asus 970 Pro Gaming. It isn't a new motherboard, but Asus has put some nice features on this motherboard. It comes with added USB 3.1 and M.2 SSD. Another interesting motherboard feature is the Aura feature, which allows the user to customize the onboard RGB LED's color and rhythm. The power section is 8-phase, but it uses a 7+1 layout instead of the usual 6+2 layout. This means that it has 7 phases dedicated to the processor and 1 for the CPU and B. This is one area where mid-range motherboards usually suffer and limit their overclocking abilities. The 970 Pro has RGB LED illumination under the South Bridge heat spreader as part of the motherboard's Aura lineup. Pros: highly durable components. DG plus VRM voltage regulator module is one of the finest in the industry. For LEDs indicate problems with the CPU, memory, graphics card, or boot device. RGB LED illumination. Cons: expensive. MSI 760 GMAP34. Specifications. Brand, MSI, chipset, AMD 760G, socket, AM3+, form factor, micro ATX, memory, 16 GB DDR3, memory speed, 1866 MHz. MSI motherboards are built with military-class components and are available for a low price, and MSI 760G MZP34 is the best example. Spending $200 plus on the motherboard to pair it with a 7-year-old processor doesn't look right. MSI 760G MAP34 is an entry-level motherboard and ideal for AMD FX 8350 as this maxes out the overclocking limits of processor and memory and is the best bang for the buck motherboard. It comes with an updated BIOS version out of the box, which is easy to use and supports many overclocking modes for AMD FX CPUs. It is a micro ATX motherboard and has a coffee-colored PCB with some blue components on it. Pros: most affordable motherboard. Fits best for AMD FX 8350. Gives great overclocking power to FX series CPUs. Plenty of interface ports. Cons: with dual-slot GPU, you can't use PCIe X1 slot. The color scheme is not good, in my opinion. Only 16 GB maximum memory. No heatsink for VRM.